so I'm used to it.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Denis. There's been a vigil in Milton Keynes. I think it was on Thursday, but as you know, not a lot of people managed to get there from London. So I thought it was really important for us to actually organise something within London, and I thought today would be a good day, especially after the refugee event, just the one that we just had.
Standing up to hatred. All the time we must be standing up to hatred. We've come today from the refugee demonstration, the Refugees Welcome demonstration. And there's a situation where victims of hatred throughout the world are not receiving the compassion they ought to be receiving from our own government. And we know what's happening in our country at the moment, particularly after the referendum. There seems to be a renewed confidence around people engaging in racist attacks and attacks against Muslims, Muslim women and others. We had the terrible case of the man murdered in Harlow. We've had people in the streets near to me. I've heard of people having eggs thrown at their windows in Walthamstow. People who've lived in this country for years and years from Europe being told, now you should be going home. But it's not just Europeans who are suffering after the referendum. There's been these racist attacks on all minority ethnic people, and indeed not least targeting the Muslim community. And we must say no to this hatred. So I think it's fantastic that we've had this opportunity to stand here just to remember this woman. What she's going through must be terrible, what she's faced, and the fear that she must have, and the fear that so many people must have in this context. So let's be standing up to fear, let's be standing up to hatred. Let's be making it clear that we now need our government not only to welcome refugees into this country, but also to be standing up for those people in this country, migrants and others, who feel at this time very threatened, very vulnerable at this time of racism. I mean, I think what we need is a very strong commitment from the government that it's going to have zero tolerance to these racist attacks, and it doesn't seem like we've had that zero tolerance in the way this woman has been treated by the hospital, by the police and other services. We need to make sure that whenever these attacks happen, that people are dealt with quickly, that they receive the support they need, and actually we make sure that we've got a culture in this country that is against this kind of hatred. So once again, thank you, Saira. Thanks everyone for gathering. Let us continue to be in solidarity with those who are fearful today. Let's continue to stand up and say no to hatred.
You know, Islamophobic crimes within Muslims and within Eastern Europeans. 6,000 hate crimes have been reported since June the 14th, and that's the ones we only know about. What's happened to this sister has truly devastated me, because I saw the video of Councillor Khan last night in Wayman, and I completely was mortified how she has been treated. She was attacked coming out the co-op, kicked in the stomach several times. Her husband was attacked as well. Councillor Khan reported that the ambulance took over an hour and 20 minutes to come to her aid, and then when they did take her to the hospital, it took 4 hours to be seen, and then the doctor said she wasn't pregnant, and she insisted that she was pregnant, and then from there she had to go back to her doctors to get a letter to say that she was pregnant, and then at this point they found out that she was expecting twins. So she's lost the babies. This is completely unacceptable. And then the police, in the meantime, have only reported this 3 days ago. So we all actually thought this happened recently. This happened 7 weeks ago. Why has it taken the police so long to report this Islamophobic hate crime? Now, my personal experience of Islamophobia will live with me and my family for the rest of our lives. It will remind us what happens when hatred in society goes unchallenged and people who hate are not stopped. On the 29th of April 2013, my father, Mohammed Saleem, was brutally murdered by a neo-Nazi terrorist and the mosque bomber Pavlo Lapshin in Birmingham. And the way we were initially treated, the police came to our house, and thank God we spoke good English and we went to university, and Dad pushed education because he said, you don't know, this is for you, because you know this country can treat you in such a way that you won't be able, you know, I want you to handle yourselves. And thank God he did, because the police came into our house and said, we're going to tell you what this is. This isn't a racist attack. We said, we're going to tell you what it is. This is a racist attack. So what my worry is that this sister, her English was probably not strong. She wasn't be able to communicate. So this is why they've got away with it for this long time, like 7 weeks. Come on, and we all know about it now. So the way the West Midlands police dealt with us was completely horrifying. They're a very racist police force, and you have to continue to challenge them. And the consequences for us was, you know, our dad's burial was delayed. We didn't get to bury our dad for 3 months until we had to drop the complaints. That's how bad it is. So we must continue to be the voice for this sister, and be the voice for the refugees, and be the voice for migrants and refugees. And, you know, we need to stand up to racism and Islamophobia, because together we are strong, together we are one. And we need to find out what the hell happened and why is it taking so long. And solidarity to everyone that's facing discrimination at this current time. Thank you very much.
Against Racism, which is an LGBT organisation, and think it's very important to stand in solidarity with all communities that are pushed to the edges of society and who face these kind of hostile hate crimes, because what we do know is that when hatred is allowed against one community, it raises the atmosphere of hatred against all communities, and therefore it's very important to stand up against hatred when it happens like this, stand up against Islamophobia when it happens like this, because these horrific attacks will keep happening, and this atmosphere of hatred will continue unless it is challenged by everyone, regardless of whether or not it impacts on you directly. I am not Muslim myself, but I face the kickback from the raising of the Islamophobic kind of hatred that goes on in society, because people in the EDL and others don't stop to ask you whether you are Muslim before they want to kick your heads in. After EDL demonstrations, they will go and target Hindu places of worship. They in Brighton thought that the Brighton Pavilion was the Islamification of Britain when it was built by the monarchy to celebrate them controlling India under empire. So that is how kind of irrational and wide targeting their hatred is. And therefore it is very important to stand up against Islamophobia, which is an absolute central driver for that kind of hatred. And we're seeing, as people have said, it is outrageous that we didn't know about this attack, the way the sister was treated, but we're seeing reverberations of that on other communities. So for example, 50 Jamaican people can be deported, wrenched away from communities, lived here for generations, no national outcry. This incident can happen, no national outcry. Polish man can be murdered, no national outcry. This is all stuff that has happened in the last few weeks and post-Brexit. So